Okay, so before I jump into the joinery on this, I want to explain a little bit about the jig I used to cut out these sliding dovetails. Now, I used the CNC to cut basically a rabbet in a 1/2-inch piece of plywood. So I did this on 2 pieces of plywood to match, and that rabbet was the arch, the shape I wanted of the apron. So it was the exact radius I needed, because when you pull that apron out of the clamps, it has a little bit of spring back. So I made the jig in a way that it holds it where I want it to be as far as the radius. And that way, everything gets cut into the piece the way it should. So when I assemble it, it'll be a perfect circle. So I take these 2 pieces of plywood, basically screw it together, sandwich the apron in that. The apron is left long, and so I can use the jig not only to cut the apron to length on the table saw, but also to use another jig, which I made right here, to sit over the jig, write a bushing on this, and use a dovetail bit to cut the dovetails. This system worked out really well, and you're going to see now in the video how I use this jig to cut the joinery. Perfect. It worked, but my brain is telling me that this is a bad way. I cut this way. This makes sense. The bushing was right in here. Cut that. You know, the way it's cutting, it's pulling the bushing into this. It's real easy to control. Cuts nice. This one I got to come back this way, and something's telling me like it's gonna feel like a climb cut, and it's just gonna want to go flying because it's spinning like this, spinning like that, so it should cut. It shouldn't climb. If I went this way, it would grab, I think, and want to just take off. I'm trying to decide, like I would feel the most comfortable if the jig was flipped and I was running
the fence was over here.
Yeah, the fence was on this side. But there's not enough material over here, and it's just wanting to. I don't know if it's rocking. At least here I know it's like.
I don't see why it wouldn't work, because a lot of times with the dovetail bit, you take a pass right in the middle of material.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's...
I think I'm just going to have to keep a lot of pressure against
just have to push against the fence.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was about to do it, and I started going, and I was like, oh, this doesn't feel right.
I get what you're saying, but I think
we'll be all right.
Yeah. Slow.
Go slow. Hang on tight.
Put another clamp on it.
I bet. Okay, I want to tell you about a really cool sponsor, Hone Health, that I'm excited to introduce to you guys. This is actually the second time I've worked with them. I have turned 40 this year, which, you know, not a big deal really, but I have noticed some things changing. I've noticed that I've feeling a little bit weaker in the shop. Well, this job, working in a shop, moving heavy things, lumber, you got to stay in shape. I've also felt quite a bit of loss of energy in the last couple years. I used to have a pretty heavy drive. I could work a long day, a lot of hours. And I've noticed that that's fallen off a little bit. I'm just not as focused, don't quite have the drive or the energy that I used to have. And so that's why I was excited to partner with Hone Health, because they offer testosterone level testing. Now, Hone offers an at-home biomarker testing, in-depth video conferencing with physicians, and FDA-approved medications that get delivered to your door. So I took the test, which was very simple and easy, mailed it off to the lab, and shortly thereafter got an email from Hone saying that my results were in, and I got to meet with a physician via video conference. I learned, for one, most importantly, that I had a low level of free testosterone, which would definitely contribute to the fact that I've lost some muscle mass, lower energy. It actually helps me understand probably why I'm, feeling a little bit weaker, which is a natural thing of growing older. I actually learned through Hone that testosterone has decreased quite a bit through our generation. So our father's generation before us had 25% higher testosterone than our generations do now. Now, a lot of research shows that that might be caused by environmental issues, but over 30 million men report having low testosterone levels. And honestly, the entire process was super easy. After I met with my physician online, I got an email that told me what my next step was to order the supplements that he had recommended. I didn't really want to start off taking medication right off the bat, because I try really honestly to take the minimal amount of medication, but they do offer some awesome supplements. So that was the path I decided to take, was say, I'm going to try some supplements, see if I can get that level back up. Now, obviously, I want to say that I am not a medical doctor. I'm a furniture maker, but why not at least take the test, see where your levels are at. So get Hone's at-home assessment today, learn more about your testosterone levels. You also, for a limited time, my viewers are going to get a $45 value where you get to do the home assessments and you get a video conference with a physician. That's a great value. All you gotta do is honehealth.com/Andy Rawls. It supports my channel, but it also supports you and your health. Go check out Hone, learn where your testosterone levels are, and hopefully improve those levels and improve your health. Okay, so we've got all these filled with epoxy. I just ran this first one, basically re-flattened all three of them. We're going to take them all down to the same thickness, 3 inches, and during that process we also clean off all the epoxy, get it nice and smoothed out. Also running this pretty large rabbet around the outside, and so this will be the actual thickness of our top right here. It's about 1.5 inches, and then the rest of this will sit inside the table base. And I think, that's going to allow it to look not quite so thick and heavy on top. You got a 3-inch apron right underneath this, so it should look pretty good. We've got the second one on here right now. This is, obviously what it looks like before we flatten. So you can see this kind of rough epoxy. We've belt sanded it down. We'll have to do a little bit more filling, just little spots in here. Once we get it all sanded, that's the next step. Actually, Robert's setting up the wide belt. We're going to run this one through, get it sanded, and start the process of running the orbital over it.
All right, so the next step was for me to start finishing the 3 tops to these ash tables. So we ran them through the wide belt. After they came out, we started using the orbital to sand them, and that was taking forever to get the wide belt marks off. You know, it never comes out perfect right out of the wide belt. So I thought, why don't we try hand planing them? And that turned into a great opportunity for me to learn a little bit more about sharpening, about using a hand plane. So we went with a low angle jack plane. After sharpening it, started planing it. It went a lot quicker using the hand plane than opposed to sanding it. Once we got all of the sanding marks out with the plane, we were able to hit it with a few different grits on the orbital, and that brought us right to the finish that we needed.
Okay, a quick overview of where I'm at with this. So all the dovetails are cut. Everything came out pretty good. I'm doing a little epoxy work. Just filling some little spots on the bottom of these. So these slide in. I mean, you kind of saw in the video, the fit's pretty good. They're not shouldering up, you know, perfect right off the assembly, but I think a little bit of clamp work will pull those joints up, and they should be really good. The next step tomorrow, we're going to do these bridle joints. So I've already kind of notched these down here, and then we'll notch out the legs to slide right in there. And then really all the joinery is finished, and then we're on to shaping the legs. We got tapers to do and a little shaping to do on the front of the leg. This is not assembled, but you can kind of see how that matching grain all comes together now. That's looking really good. I was looking forward to see how that came out, and it's a really cool feature. It almost looks like that grain's flowing all the way around that apron. Okay, so all the joinery is cut. We got the dovetails right here, and then all the bridle joints cut. The next step is we have to shape these legs. I've pre-shaped an extra one here just to kind of experiment and make sure that I liked it. So we're going to have a taper. The taper on this one is a little bit too much in my opinion, so I'm going to make the actual legs a little bit bigger at the bottom, and then we're going to carve this profile right on the top of the leg. It's kind of a little relief, right? So we hit the cut back, carve that around, then we'll pillow out this part a little. So that's the next step. We're going to head to the big Oliver bandsaw and start making the cuts to carve out that profile, and then we'll cut tapers. Hey, Judd. What you doing? Hey, buddy. Yeah? What happened? You saw a woodpecker?
Yeah.
No way. All right, I'm shooting for 1 1/4 inches, so basically, I mean, I don't know about how you think, but I always cut on the outside of the line, right? Leave the line.
Is this your finished thickness?
It's
here?
about from the line to the line is about 1 1/4 inches. So
okay,
basically, just leave the line.
Sure.
The downside is if you get a little scoop in it, right, or anything like that, you're going to take more off. Because I want it to be straight and flat the whole way. Yeah. We don't want to have that going on. So I start where it comes out, right?
Yeah.
Because I find that if you're going this way, the blade just wants to come out of the cut, and then you have this weird. It's hard to finish it.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay,
yeah.
You know how to do this.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I mean,
I'm giving you the.
No, I want to hear it from you
okay.
though before I do it.
This is pretty important that we start before this. You know, I don't want to hit this line. These are all going to be marked. So I just kind of rock it. You know how to do it. The hardest part is right there, right? Because you're kind of putting a little side pressure.
Trying to get into
yeah,
the
once
cut.
you get into the cut. The worst thing, obviously, is to dip in. If you go out, if it's a bump, we can take that out pretty easily.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Let's go to the bench now. Hold on to these because we'll use them to clamp in the vise. When I read the grain, typically if you taper, most woods it's really easy because you're tapering into the grain and you can just plane right down the taper. But this ash is all over the place. I mean, it's almost running sideways right there. So I can see it running out this way. So I know it's probably going to plane pretty well going there, but then I can look here and see that it might tear out here. This side here, I'm pretty sure if we try to plane down this, it's just going to be super.
Okay, because we're
looking
cutting
at
against this.
Yeah,
which is gonna
yeah.
Push all that out.
Yeah, it's gonna.
But here we're going
kind of with it, right?
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try real quick with the hand plane. If the grain cooperates, that's the fastest way to go.
Sure.
You'll want a pencil, and so what I'll do is, if I'm going to this line, I'm gonna shade this a little bit so I can watch my cuts. Same deal I was telling you with the jack. Keep it backed off.
Until you know what you're cutting.
Right now it's just a super light cut. The tendency and the worst thing you can do is get this off 90. Your focus when you use this should be on what's my shaving look like. If there's just a little bit of shaving on this side, you're taking material just here. So the shaving's kind of telling you.
Should be full width.
Yeah. That's a pretty heavy cut. And really, you're trying to go the whole distance. And I'm watching the shaving, right? I know I'm cutting just that side. Really good there. It kind of gets a little bit out right there. So, I mean, even that amount, I wouldn't overly worry about spending a lot of time.
Yeah, because it's
correcting.
Standing alone by itself.
Yeah,
it's not.
You're never going to catch
joinery. It's not attached to anything else.
Okay, so I got two glued up. Yesterday, end of the day, yesterday we got one, and I came in last night and did another. Glue ups are always a bit hectic and unpredictable, and they take a while, and they're always hard to film, and these were no different. Didn't really film much at all. I did figure out the process for how to glue these up, because they're a little bit tricky. We got one more to do, so I'm going to film that one, hopefully get a good shot of us doing that. We ended up putting a piece of plywood across here so that we could clamp and pinch these dovetails close and get this to shoulder up. We're having a hard time getting these to shoulder up, but the dimensions are pretty dang good. It's almost a perfect circle. It's really hard to build a table base like this and make it a perfect circle to match the tops. So today what we're going to work on after we glue up that other table is get the dimensions of these, and then we'll put the tops probably back up on the CNC. We got a little sanding to do on those, and actually CNC them out, because the idea here is that the top is flush right here kind of with our leg. So that's going to be a tricky thing to execute, but I think we can use the CNC and get it pretty darn close. So that's the task for today, and get finished on these. Okay, so here's the finished table. I couldn't be happier with this thing. It is pretty amazing what's going on in this wood, and this is actually probably not the best one out of all three of them. The two bases here, these are all ready for finish. This one is probably 90% of the way done with finish. One more coat and that one's good. This is my favorite top by far. It's got this cool little like bridge right here. I can't wait to put finish on this one. It's going to be really neat. And for the sake of needing to get this video live, I'm going to show you what I've got here. And then I will post pictures over on my Instagram and here on the community post once I get finished pictures. One of my favorite things that we did with this is the dovetails right here. So I decided that it would be really cool to put this in the crack. So when you look down into this crack, you can actually see the table joinery right here, which is a really neat feature. On the other side, it didn't quite work out to where you could expose both dovetails. So on this side, you just see the curved bent laminations. What makes this table so challenging, and what probably most people who see it won't even understand, you have to kind of be a furniture maker to figure this out, is that this is a perfect 38.5-inch diameter, and it has the base meets perfectly at each leg. So there's a 1/4-inch reveal overhang all the way around, and when you get to each leg, it's flush. And that is really a detail I really wanted to try to hit and nail down. It just expresses the complexity of the piece, obviously to those who understand that, and I think it looks really good. I love this angle right here where you can kind of see the legs, just graceful taper to those, and then the carving. I think it really just adds more to the piece and makes it a little more attractive than just a straight line going down. And then obviously as we matched up this grain, so this is a book match. As you go across, these two grains match, which is very cool. Same thing on the other side. You've got a match right here as well. So that's just something that your eye kind of catches and you see, and it just is one more little detail that makes this piece stand out. I've got 4 or 5 more pieces to build for this client, so this is just the start of it. We've got some really cool pieces coming up out of some pecan. So that is going to close it down for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That was a pretty lengthy 2-part build. So leave me a comment, let me know what you think. And again, a big thanks to Hone for sponsoring this video. The 2 next projects coming up are finishing up the Alamo cannon. So we're going to be building the carriage. The cannon is casted. It's going to be coming to the shop soon. And then Matt Carricker's dining table. A lot to do. So stay tuned for those videos. Hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time.